What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Today, live from the Sprite Thunderdome, we are going to be breaking down the Hawkeye trailer. Let's jump right in. The opening shot is of New York at Christmas time. Then we hear,
"This is the first Christmas we've had together in years."
Hawkeye and his kids at dinner. Not sure if y'all noticed it, but the evil kid, you know, the one that wanted ketchup on his hot dog, he's giving Clint the evil eye. Confirmed he is the villain of this series. He is going to finally realize his true evil potential.
Because Mephisto confirmed.
He might be Mephisto. I mean, anyone who would want ketchup on a hot dog.
I'm going to reel that in. No Mephisto.
Oh, come on.
And did you notice his wife is not there?
I did, but later on he's talking to someone and he calls her babe.
Okay, but you don't see her at all in the preview. No Linda Cardellini.
So I do like that little attention to detail that they mentioned. This is our first Christmas in a while, you know, going back to Endgame, how, you know, they were dusted and everything. And I do like that they kind of remind you for that one person that I guess hasn't seen all of the Marvel movies.
And then we see a shot of like Manhattan, and we see Rogers the musical.
That's cool.
That cracked me up.
Yeah.
The dance of a true hero or something that was really close to what the sign said.
All I know is I can't wait for the musical number. I can do this all day.
Followed by America's Ass.
Is that going to be brought to you by Sprite?
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Clint making up for some lost time as he is enjoying the city with his kids. Next scene has the news talking about a masked vigilante, and we see someone dressed up as Ronin. His past is coming back to haunt him. As we all know, he was Ronin during Endgame.
So I'm pretty sure that this is a trailer trick. And I don't think that when they're talking about a masked vigilante, I don't think they're actually talking about Kate Bishop, who I believe is supposed to be moonlighting as Ronin during this series. And I also don't know if they're specifically talking about Clint as Ronin. I think, ready for this? Doug theory, this is actually Daredevil. Kingpin confirmed, Daredevil confirmed.
I'm going to reel that in.
Fun ruiner.
Neither are...
Well, if you're going to reel that in, I'm going to go one better. It is a masked vigilante. It's not Daredevil. It is Ronin. But it's not Kate Bishop. We know that Echo is going to be in this series. We see her later on in this trailer. And in the comics, she took on the mantle of Ronin for a while.
That is true.
And as the daughter of Kingpin confirmed for the series, we...
Reeling that in?
I think that she is going to be Ronin to start off this series. And that's what brings Clint to New York, to try to find who is posing as Ronin and try to find him. Now, she gets caught by Clint, and then Kate Bishop, who in the comics was brutally attacked in Central Park, takes on the mantle to try to get revenge on maybe who did that to her. But she's copying Echo as Ronin, not knowing that Clint was ever Ronin.
Yeah.
I don't want to reel that in. That's a nice theory.
That is a really good theory.
I also don't think it's going to happen.
Oh.
I also think it's going to be...
Because it's too good.
Yeah. It's just going to be something simple. See, that would be interesting and a good story to follow. But when we're going to get there, I think it's just going to be straight to Kate Bishop and skip all that other stuff. That's what I think.
It's very possible.
And remember, it's only got 6 episodes. So they got to go into the depth of Hawkeye's story with his family, and then, you know, finding her and then her background. There's a lot to pack in there.
Oh, there's definitely a ton that they need to do in these 6 episodes. So, we'll see how much they can actually get to. Clint's daughter asking,
Should we be worried?
No, it's nothing. I'll be home for Christmas. I promise.
Well, we know what promises mean.
Yeah, so he's definitely going to die.
And I assume that's some protection vehicle that they're going into, like a SHIELD type, but the SHIELD's not around anymore, so it was just plain old FBI.
Well, I think going back to what we were talking about in our Spider-Man trailer breakdown, I have a feeling this is probably just the Department of, what was that again?
Damage Control.
Damage Control. I think that's probably what it is, because in the Spider-Man movie, they were kind of acting as a stand-in for SHIELD. And so I think that might actually be the case here. I think they're kind of the stand-in, at least until we do get officially introduced to, perhaps a non-corrupt sword. Unless, or wait, this takes place. Yeah, this takes place just after WandaVision, right? I believe it does. It takes place before Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but after WandaVision.
I just
so I don't know if it's
post blip. That's all I know.
It is post blip, yeah. But it's because she mentions that this is our first Christmas in several years. It must take place after the blip, but prior to. I'm going to assume prior to Far From Home.
Yeah, Far From Home was 6 months after. Yeah, I think you're right.
Exactly.
Maybe I don't think this is the Department of Damage Control because they seem more like a police. You know, like when they had Spider-Man and they had him handcuffed to the table and they were interrogating him and all that. It seems like they're more investigatory than would be to pick up Clint and say, "Hey, Clint, you got to go take care of this. We'll take your family. We'll take care of them."
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I wonder if this is just going to be the regular, boring government FBI or something like that.
Right. Nothing exciting.
You're right.
When I wore this suit, I made a whole lot of enemies.
As we see Kate as Ronin, and Clint confronting her as she is taking out some rough-looking dudes, and that's our first look at the live-action Tracksuit Mafia. For those of you who don't know who the Tracksuit Mafia is, it's from the Matt Fraction run on Hawkeye, and they end every sentence with bro.
I love it. Yeah. So I was going back and reading some of those comics, and I think they're my new favorite bad guys, just because of like how obnoxious they are.
You alright, bro?
I'm great, bro.
You're a Hawkeye!
Who the hell are you?
Once again, I think this almost supports my theory that she has no idea that Clint was ever Ronin. There was another Ronin in the city. That's who she's kind of emulating after. And they may already know that it's, Maya Lopez, Echo, did it, because I think she'll be caught at this point. And she's doing that. And when Clint catches her, she has no idea that Clint was ever Ronin during Endgame. And I have a theory about that and what's going to happen and how she finds out, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Mephisto.
No.
Reel it in.
Once again, it's going back to the Fraction run on Hawkeye.
Some people have actually called me the world's greatest archer.
As we see her showing off those skills with a tennis ball and an arrow that she shoots at a church bell, she nails it, and then the bell structure collapses on itself, which I love because, once again, I'm going to say this a lot. We get paid by Sprite for every time I say Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye. In Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye, not everything is so smooth. They're superheroes, but they constantly get beaten up. They have cuts and bruises, which we see a little bit later in this video, and things go awry, and we see a couple times this happens in this trailer.
Absolutely.
So I'm actually really glad that you pointed that out, because that was one of the first things that I noticed about this trailer on my first watch through, was the fact that it seemed way more grounded, especially after, coming off of Black Widow, where it seemed like also regular, normal humans were unusually bulletproof and bone-breaking proof. But then you've got, Clint, and you've got Kate Bishop, and you're seeing exactly like what you said. They've got scratches, they got bruises, they're getting beaten up. They're people. They're not superhumans.
Cut our face,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I like that. I like that because I think it brings a little bit more realism to the MCU when you've got your Iron Man's protected by a suit, and you've got your Steve Rogers, who's a superhuman. It's nice just to see the dude who shoots an arrow is still just a dude who shoots arrows. And honestly, that also reminded me of his scene in Age of Ultron, when he literally points that out. He points out the ridiculousness.
Because the city is flying. Okay, look, the city is flying. We're fighting an army of robots.
I'm just a guy who shoots arrows.
And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
There's not going to be a floating city
No.
that they infiltrate. Okay, well, that's scratchy.
Oh, that was your theory.
And then we see someone confront Kate with a flashlight. Is this Kate? Is this Clint as he's training her, kind of like coming up and going, "What the hell are you doing?" Or is it someone else?
I like how she's introduced with already some skill, so she didn't have to go from bare minimum. So it could take a lot less time to develop that.
In the comics, she was beaten up in Central Park, and then she started training herself and getting all this attention, and just found out she was very apt with a bow. and then she started Hawkeye was dead at the time, so obviously they had to change things up because she took on the mantle of Hawkeye because Clint Barton was dead. And then he came back, as you do, as everyone does in comics.
Right.
And they started hanging out and stuff. But, they definitely have to change it up. So I do think some things will stay the same, but I think they're definitely going to change, as they do with everything in the MCU. And then we see Clint talking to his wife on the phone. I think so, because he calls her babe.
Hey, babe, I should be back in a day or two.
And he kind of calls her babe in some of the other movies. That he will be back in a day or two, and we see the aforementioned tracksuit mafia, bro. Members throwing a Molotov cocktail in Clint's window.
Yeah, bro.
Which he says, hold on a minute while he's on the phone. First breaks the window, catches it, and throws it back. He may not be super powered, but he has got mad skills.
Yes, he does.
Well, he never misses. That's his whole thing,
We see Clint punching out a bro. The Tracksuit Mafia guys end every sentence with bro in Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye. Cha-ching.
Slow down.
And we're probably, like I said earlier, we're going to be mentioning this comic a lot since this trailer not only gives off Die Hard vibes, but seems to be majorly influenced by Fractions and David Aja's 2012 Hawkeye series, which is absolutely amazing. If you haven't read it. And I definitely am going to confirm today this is what we'll be giving away in our anticipation of the Hawkeye series.
No need to reel
Because it's amazing. My Life as a Weapon is one of the most groundbreaking comics of all time. A lot to do with what we were talking about earlier. It shows them as normal people. Cuts, bruises, all the things you want to see. Clint getting in trouble with his then girlfriend, Jessica Drew, because Kate's there and another girl, but we won't get all into that. Clint is ziplining out of a building and falls. Total 2012 Hawkeye.
Right.
And looking beat up, resting in a chair, once again, total Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye, since they show him beaten up with bandages all throughout this series. In a tux, running away, and I wonder if he is at an auction for a certain video tape. And this is what I was talking about earlier. In Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye, cha-ching, there's a couple issues of the comic where there is a videotape up for auction showing Hawkeye killing a world leader at the behest of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, I won't spoil it. There's a lot to it. And this kind of looks like this might be. I think this is a videotape of him as Ronin, exposing him as the first Ronin. And so they want to get that back because they don't want the world to know that, hey, he did a lot of bad things during the blip.
But maybe Kingpin will buy it. Kingpin confirmed.
Kingpin is definitely confirmed.
Reeling it in.
But that is, of course, if people don't know, he was already Ronin. I go back and forth on that. Like, people are already going to know, or they're not going to know. They're just going to know that there was another Ronin that could be Maya or could have been Kate.
Well, there was a couple of times where we saw him in Endgame where you could see his face. So, if he is wandering around killing people as Ronin, it's likely that he wasn't masked in any way. Because if you remember that one scene where he killed was it a Japanese mafia guy? Or,
Yakuza.
Yeah, the Yakuza guy. He definitely, you could see his face with his mohawk. So it wasn't like he was really trying to stay that hidden. So if people don't know by now, I'm sure whatever's on that tape is a dead giveaway.
And we see Clint being held captive by the tracksuit mafia bro. And Kate ziplines in to save him and doesn't quite get the landing all that great. And the look on Clint's face is just perfect.
You mean no superhero landing?
Yes, no superhero landing.
What a
And
shame.
he does not look worried that he's surrounded by this gang. Not worried at all.
No.
He's chill, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Quick montage of the tracksuit mafia bro. Then we see Vera as Eleanor Bishop, Kate's mom. Now, she was thought to be dead in the comics until she turns up in West Coast Avengers as a vampire. Blade confirmed.
Oh,
We don't-
man.
We don't. Dave does not get paid per time he reels it in, so he's working overtime.
Now this could, whether it confirms the Blade or not, this could be some sort of odd tie-in to Morbius.
Eventually, there will be a Blade. Just
Yeah.
Just not now.
But yeah, I mean, as far as I know, because they showed Vulture in the Morbius trailer, I'm assuming that that's its tie-in to Spider-Man. Spider-Man's connected to the MCU. We're basically playing, 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon with with Spider-Man, I think. So it could be. It could be that they are keeping her around because they do want to use that as a character, and maybe it will have some sort of tie-in. Who knows?
Yeah, she could either be head of the Tracksuit Mafia in this show, or she could just be a flashback to Kate remembering her mom. So she can
You bring up a great point, because we never know how the MCU is going to MCUize it, because we've seen this countless times. We'll read something from a comic and we'll say, well, obviously that's probably how they're going to do the story, but then it's like, oh, well, no, they gave us a bit of a twist.
Like the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Like the Mandarin.
Almost completely fixed.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
No spoilers for Shang-Chi, but go see it if you haven't. Then we see a scene from Rogers the Musical, the Battle for New York scene, which looks amazing. Some people think that one of the guys, or Thor, is actually Chris Evans. I took a very close look at it. It's not Chris Evans.
That would
But
be hilarious.
It looks kind of like him.
Maybe it's one of his brothers?
Oh, it could be. Definitely could be. Then we see Lucky the Pizza Dog. For those of you who don't know who Lucky the Pizza Dog is, once again, cha-ching, the Matt Fraction run on Hawkeye. Lucky was a dog that was owned by the Tracksuit Mafia. And Clint, when he's going up at one point trying to get something, he gives the dog a piece of pizza, and the dog kind of stays with him. So,
Did you know that there was actually an entire issue in that run? It was from the dog's point of view.
yeah, I read it, yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, again, gotta check it out.
That's, unfortunately, spoilers. That's the, where Grills is killed. Grills, whose real name is Gil. Wonderful writing. I love everything about that. We see Ronin being cheered at a Renaissance festival looking thing. Whether this is them cheering because it's a known vigilante who's probably taken on a bunch of bad guys, as Maya or Kate or Clint, we don't know. Or Daredevil as Ronin. Daredevil confirmed, Matt Murdock,
Nope.
Charlie Cox.
Nope.
Definitely confirmed.
Reeling all that in.
Wait, it's been confirmed by two sources, Doug and me.
Yeah. You can't reel us both in.
Those are unreliable sources. I'd like to see your references, please.
Yeah, it's Kevin Feige. We see a choreographed fight scene at the same place, so maybe the cheering is just for a good scene during the Renaissance Festival. And then we see Ronin, someone coming to confront Clint. Whether they know it's his secret or not, I don't know, but maybe this is the start of, hey, there's a videotape up for auction that's going to expose you. I don't know. All speculation. Kate and Clint dressed up to the nines. Once again, probably going to the Sprite Amphitheater for the videotape auction. And Dave, get ready. We're really working the overtime here.
Oh, here we go.
In the Matt Fraction run of Hawkeye, cha-ching, Madam Mask is a part of all of this. Actually, Kate kind of kidnaps her, locks her up, and is masquerading as Madam Mask. Should I say masquerading as Madam Mask? Is the alliteration good on that?
Only if you could say it 5 times fast.
Oh, darn it. Sorry. But we see Madam Mask, and she plays a major role in Kate Bishop in the comics. So I'm not saying that Madam Mask is going to be introduced during Hawkeye, but
you're saying
Madam Mask is going to be introduced.
Yeah, I'm reeling that too. All right.
But it would be
It's not
interesting
happening.
because Madam Mask is also the daughter of Count Nefaria, who at one point steals the powers of living laser, Power Man, and Whirlwind.
Me and Doug are both like,
All confirmed.
To become one of the most powerful supervillains in the Marvel Comics. Count Nefaria confirmed.
reeling it in.
In this lighthearted, grounded Christmas extravaganza.
Oh, they're just playing. It's a trailer trick. It's not lighthearted at all.
Oh, yeah,
It's
this
going
is
to see
the first scene is someone getting their head chopped off.
It is the most wonderful time of the year.
Your heartwarming Disney series.
and they'll never see it coming.
Oh, right in the field.
I've been working on that all week. I hope you guys liked it. We see Kate and Clint fighting back to back at the rink at Rockefeller Center. Looks nice. Then we get that quick shot of Echo. And we talked about the Kingpin connection to both her and the Tracksuit Mafia. You know, we know she was Ronin in the comics, and, you know, basically, once again, not an in focus for Echo, but Kingpin killed her father. And the father made him promise to raise her. So he raised her as his own daughter and actually loves her and wants the best for her. So I know that a lot of scoopers have said that Kingpin is definitely showing up. Vincent D'Onofrio has liked tweets talking about him showing up. I think it is hopefully possible. I don't think anything is confirmed. I think people were just trying to, you know, connect the dots from the comics and say he's going to show up. But I do think, because of the fact that Echo is getting her own series on Disney Plus, we are going to get Kingpin at some point. And if they try to recast that away from Vincent D'Onofrio, that would be a major blunder, I think, on the MCU. So I think there's a good possibility Vincent D'Onofrio may show up in this series. I don't think it'll be much more than a cameo, but I do think we're going to see it. I hope we see it.
I hope
so
too.
too.
I'm not going to reel it in because I really want that to happen, and I don't think he's really over the top with that, I guess. So if he's in there for a cameo, it'll be fantastic. Even that much would be fantastic.
I mean, I know that I said that I thought for sure that Avengers Tower is going to turn into Fisk Tower, you know, back in Far From Home, and that didn't turn out to be true. But I'm pretty sure this time, you guys, for real, for sure, totally, absolutely, that it's going to be Kingpin showing up, big bad, in this series. Wait and see.
I'm going to get that a half reel.
Just like a...
Yeah, one of these. All right. Because I'm hoping that happens. I think it's only logical that something like that happens.
I don't think they would change up the characters that much, especially when they have someone that is almost universally loved as that character. It'd be silly not to.
You know, I'm starting to notice a bit of a trend with these Disney Plus MCU series. It's almost, in a way, sort of like what they were doing with The Mandalorian, where they're sort of bringing out some of the extended universe stuff. I feel like they're using these Disney Plus Marvel series to bring some of the weirder stuff that, you know, has only ever been in comics. We finally got to see in WandaVision, we got to see Wanda in a comic-accurate-ish costume. Probably wouldn't have seen that in any of the movies. We're getting to see some of the weirder stuff showing up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now we get to see all of these great storylines from
Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye. We then see a wall being blasted in what looks like a wine cellar type with an auction going on. I wonder what they could be auctioning off. Then we see an amazing chase scene taken right out of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye. And ends with Kate using a trick arrow and blowing up a van that has Trust a Bro moving company.
Trust a Bro moving company, I love it.
And I think it's great because in the comic, in Matt Fraction's run of Hawkeye, the Tracksuit Mafia is trying to kick all these people out of this building for whatever reason. They never really get into it. And so they could also be having a moving company. So not only are they throwing you out of the building, but they're taking money from you to help move your stuff away. So they could be, you know, double dipping a little bit.
Truly evil.
And I love, because in Matt Fraction's run of Hawkeye, they're talking about trick arrows at one point, and she goes, "Why would you ever use a boomerang arrow?" And she ends up using it later on, and it's just a really well done scene.
Well, let me ask you this, Keith. Why would you ever use a very specific computer virus arrow? Avengers.
Of course, because he never misses. He can get it right in that USB port, bam.
Yep.
He's amazing. Loki knows what he's doing. I think we learned that from his series.
There are arrows more dangerous than that one?
Yeah, the boomerang arrow. Did we not just talk about that, Kate? Come on. Keep up, Hailee Steinfeld. Jesus. And then we see Kate and Clint doing the grappling hook jump. And it's what I talked about earlier. It looks like they're training because there's water behind them. Mm-hmm. And honestly, Kate looks pretty scared. She's like trying to grab Clint's bow.
It's probably her first time doing it.
Yep, I think they're practicing, getting ready for other things, hopefully getting better at it. And then we see the end scene. We see John McClane, Clint Barton say,
It's just some Christmas.
Now, will he walk barefoot over broken glass and then steal a machine gun that he'll shoot from his bow?
No.
No? Oh.
He won't do that. And like our little review here, I think this show is going to be a lot more lighthearted than what we've seen on the series so far.
Yeah,
the series has been kind of like serious. This is going to be a lot more lighthearted.
See, I thought, let's get back to the post-credit scene, because I don't think it's going to be Spider-Man, only because of the whole Sony and stuff like that. I think it is going to be Kate Bishop moving out to California. Because during the comics, she gets fed up with Clint. She moves out to California to become a private investigator. She has some run-ins with Madame Mask, Count Nefaria, and the like. So once again, confirmed for the show.
Non-confirmed.
I don't think that's what's going to happen because, like I said earlier, I think this is all set up for the Young Avengers. I think that this is being used as a vehicle for that in order to sort of introduce her character a little bit more and kind of maybe set it up towards a potential Young Avengers movie.
I mean, they've all been introduced so far, right?
Yeah.
All of them? Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Well, we're gonna
Ironheart hasn't been introduced. Miss Marvel hasn't been introduced, even though they're both confirmed.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that we're going to see Wanda's kids again at some point.
Oh, we'll see Kid Loki again.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see Stature, Scott Lang's daughter.
And we're probably going to see Mini Kang.
And
whatever his name is.
Iron Lad.
Yeah, there you go.
And then don't forget Patriot from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is that Isaiah Bradley?
Isaiah.
Yes.
So yeah, I definitely think it's leading to that.
Every one of them have been at least introduced, and most have been.
Most of them, yeah.
Most have already shown up.
Yeah.
So now we just need to get them together because this is what the MCU does.
Yeah.
They introduce each one of these characters, they give them some screen time, let you get to know them. They don't DC it, and all of a sudden now we're Batman v Superman and Batman has a gun.
Yeah. And Martha's their names.
So is this going to be, because I kept thinking about that, how are they going to bring the Young Avengers together? Is it going to be a secret invasion type thing where they come together, maybe at the behest of Nick Fury, saying, kids, something's going on. I don't quite know what it is.
It could very well
But
be.
I need you guys to be basically a team for me that's totally off the books. And I need you to do this. And that's what's going to bring them all together and form them as a team under Nick Fury. And then post Secret Invasion, they'll be their own thing.
Or a team for Val. We could be all wrong about her. She could be putting something good together.
She's got U.S. Agent and Black Widow.
Maybe she's rehabilitating him.
No, she might be.
I mean, Black Widow ain't all that bad right now, as far as we know. You know?
I won't reel that in because
You're not allowed to.
that's true. I don't have those powers.
I bestowed those powers to you.
But the MCU does switch things up.
They do.
And having Val basically maybe trying to put her own team of superpowered individuals together because she doesn't know what's going on to the Avengers and she wants to make sure that things are protected, and maybe she feels that, hey, you made some mistakes as Captain America. It's not the end of the world. Hey, you were a Black Widow, you did some bad things.
Straighten it out.
Yeah.
Could be. We never know.
I mean, it does
It's a
fit
theory.
the comics, at least in the case of U.S. Agent. He does eventually join, I think, the West Coast Avengers, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah,
And him and
so-
Hawkeye have a fight.
Okay.
Confirmed.
Nothing's confirmed. We don't have anything. We don't even know what's going to happen in 10 seconds.
A fight that is instigated by Mephisto. Mephisto confirmed.
And honestly, we don't even know for
Not
sure.
confirmed.
You know, after the Black Widow post-credit scene, we don't even know for sure that Yelena Belova is showing up in this. A lot of people have said she is, but I don't think that's been confirmed either. For all we know, that post-credit scene took place after the Hawkeye series, and that's going to set up something else down the road.
I mean, you can look up on IMDb. It's there. But we know how accurate, because we talked about it on our last series preview, that, a few things that were on there didn't happen. So, that always isn't.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
It isn't always the most reliable source.
And going back to Dave's point, maybe it's Val who knows that these Skrulls are invading. Fury doesn't really see it because he's kind of working with his own set of Skrulls and doesn't believe that any of them are bad, perhaps. She's the one that sees it. She's putting the team together to help fight Secret Invasion. I kind of like that theory, Dave. That's really good. We all think Val's putting the Dark Avengers together and is going to be, a big bad to fight down the line, but they may be the ones that save the day.
And then there really would be Avengers versus Avengers down the road.
Civil War 2.
Avengers 7. You know what I mean?
That's what we saw in the trailer. Did we miss anything? Please add us at Twitter. Let us know in the comments below, and we will see you next time at Not Your Status Quo.